This leads us well into a discussion about judges. Judges can seem scary to people who aren't used to interacting with them. So I want to take some time to talk about talk about judges, their role in these events, and how you can leverage them to make your event better.
Hey, Zenwir, thank you so much for the follow. Great to see you here. I'm Steph, and that's Brad. Yeah, we're teaching people about competitive rules enforcement level and maybe uh, trying to lower the barrier of entry for competitive events.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's what we're
thanks
doing
for
here
joining
today. Thanks
us.
for joining us.
All right. So first and foremost, judges are at these events to help you, right? They want to make your event as good as it can be, right? So as soon as you notice an error in your game, call a judge. The sooner you call them over, the more likely they'll be able to fix whatever your problem is. You are not going to be bothering the judge by asking them to come over here. You calling a judge is not you snitching on your opponent or telling them that they're bad or whatever. Just call a judge so we can get whatever is wrong sorted out and get you back to playing your game in the fairest way possible. You can also call a judge before you make a mistake to confirm how your cards will interact. Now, while a judge can't provide strategic advice, they can clear up any confusions you may have about how some cards interact. You can even ask to talk to a judge away from the table so you don't have to risk revealing hidden information to your opponent while you're getting an answer to your question. Now, because judges can't provide strategic advice or read your mind, how they answer your questions might not always be helpful if you're not careful with how you ask them. Simply showing a judge two cards and asking them, how do these two cards interact? Might not give the judge enough information to answer the question you're looking to get answered.
One of the best examples of this is occasionally I've heard the story of a player asking a judge, "Hey, can I name this fetch land with my pithing needle?" And the judge was like, "Yes. Yes, you can." um, but because that was the question that they asked them, but what they didn't ask is it going to do anything, or so you need to ask good questions.
Yes.
To act, you need to ask specific questions because judges can't be like, "Well, did you mean to ask this?" Now, good judges will be like, "Could you rephrase that question?" if they know what you're trying to get at.
Yes.
But yeah, it's really up to you as a player to ask your good questions of your judges.
Yeah. So my advice to you is when the judge comes to your table, like when you call a judge over and they get to your table, give them some relevant context about the board state and relevant game actions that got you to where you are. And then when you're asking your question, ask about the specific interaction you're confused on. Right. So like one that came up in an event that I was judging once was a player wanted to cast, I think it was Dramoka's command, which is a modal spell. You can choose two options. One of the options is uh, each opponent sacrifices an enchantment, and there's another option that says target my creature fights target your creature. And so my opponent wanted to know if, or not my opponent, the player wanted to know if they chose each player sacrifices an enchantment and the fight mode, if the only enchantment that the other player had was an enchantment that was giving their creature hexproof, could the opponent have them sacrifice that enchantment and then have their creature fight the other creature, right? Because when the fight happens, right, the creature wouldn't have hexproof anymore. But because they asked the question that way, I could tell the player when you're declaring your targets for your fight, the thing you're fighting will still have hexproof, right? So just ask exactly the question you want answered, and the odds that you get the answer you're looking for will be much higher.
And if you find that you can't ask a question without giving away information to your opponent, you can again always ask the judge to, "Hey, can I ask you a question away from the
Yes.
table?" And it will help you. It'll help you. Yeah, you can speak a little bit more freely there.
Mhm.
And we have Min in chat. Hi, Min. It's good to see you. If the judge sticks around and hovers after giving you a ruling, ask more questions. Yes, I think that is great feedback. And Min is a great judge, everybody. So definitely listen to what Min says here for sure.
Yes. Um, Something also to understand, judges are human too, and sometimes they make mistakes. If a floor judge delivers a ruling that you don't think is correct, you have the option to appeal the judge's ruling. This will allow you to get a second opinion from either the head judge or a designated appeals judge to make sure you get the right ruling. Now, it's important to note that when you do appeal a judge's ruling, the appealing judge's ruling is final, right? Whatever they say, that goes. So if making a big stink about it could get you in trouble with unsporting conduct. So just accept the second judge's ruling and get back to playing the game. Now, while there is a lot while there is a lot of this is related to maintaining legal game states, that's not everything that a judge does, right? If you have a question or a request about almost anything, asking a judge is a good place to start. For example, judges can help with accessibility, right? If you have mobility challenges, a judge can assign you to a specific table that's easy for you to access and have all of your opponents come to you for their matches. So you don't have to go around the event and weave in between tables to get to play the game. Additionally, you could also talk to a judge about something you need to secure some exceptions to normal tournament procedure. For example, we talked about how important it is for you to arrive at your table in time for your match and how you can get penalized if you're late. But if, for example, your last match went to time and you need to use the restroom before your next match, a judge could grant you a time extension so you're not penalized for being late as long as you are quick about going to the restroom and coming back. Judges can also handle issues that come up with unsporting conduct. If another person is making you feel uncomfortable or unsafe, a judge can address that person for you, separate that person from you, and in some cases, disqualify that person and remove them from the venue. But more on that, Steph is going to talk to you about some stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna slide in here. I know y'all aren't used to seeing me on this stream, but I wanted to talk to you specifically about this. Now, as a woman in Magic, I have encountered my fair share of unwanted behavior from my fellow competitors. I know I, as a woman, cannot speak to the specific needs and experiences of every minority demographic in this game. But what I can tell you is that I have seen entirely too many players experience unsporting behavior and then choose not to do something about it for one reason or another. So, I want to remind you of something very important, and that is the thing that is in bold on that slide there. All players have the right to expect a tournament setting that is safe and free from discrimination, harassment, and other disruptive behaviors. Think about that. Internalize that. You have the right to expect that of your tournaments. Now, that doesn't mean every tournament is always going to be free of these things, but you have the right to expect that of your tournament and to speak up if those things are not in place, right? So if this occurs at a competitive event and I'm sorry, oh, I gotta go back. If those disruptive behaviors occur at a competitive event, if there is a judge present, please call them. So you might be tempted to think, oh, I'm tough, I can handle it, and maybe not say anything, right? And believe me, like as someone who implements that strategy in like many facets of her life, like I get it. I totally understand that impulse. But especially in a magic setting where there are other players involved, I want you to think about this. What if the disruptive player that you're interacting with demonstrates that same behavior again to another player? And maybe what if that player isn't quite as tough as you, right? And so calling a judge if you experience that unsporting conduct is very important to the overall tournament experience for everybody. So just kind of keep that in mind. I always recommend too that players who are facing these unwanted behaviors, hold on, we have Min in chat saying this happens outside a tournament in the command zone at a large event. You can still call a judge and we will help. Exactly, exactly, exactly. But yeah, so if this happens to you when you're in a tournament or like when you're playing a game, I can understand very much how it would be nerve wracking, or especially if it's a situation where you don't feel safe, to like call a judge over to the table and interact with them there. What I do and what I want to recommend to you as well is say, hey, hold up the cards in your hand and be like, hey, judge, we had a question about this card here. Can I talk to you about it outside, or can I talk to you about it away from the table? And then once you're away from the table, at that point, like remember again, you can ask the judge to talk to them away from the table. And then at that point, you can then discreetly disclose your situation to the judge. And then it's their job at that point to take the appropriate measures to ensure that you and your fellow competitors are safe from whatever is occurring. So but yeah, take that time, take that invite, ask the judge to speak to them away from the table. You can even make it seem like you have a question about a card that you might not have a question about. But yeah, get away from that table and talk to that judge. They can help you out. If you don't call them on it, they will likely repeat it. Exactly, Quinn. Exactly. So anyway, I want to make sure to call out as well that you are entitled to a safe environment at any WPN Magic event. Wizards is very, very concerned about this, and not just at competitive ones. So if you're at your local game store, like for instance, and there is no judge or store employee who can help you, you can also report the conduct of the offending player directly to Wizards. And I will include this in chat whenever I go back to my seat. But yeah, there is a form on the Wizards website. Now, this isn't going to be like a direct, like you're not going to have an immediate response like you would if you had a judge at the event. But there is a way for you to call behavior out from a player to Wizards and like have them know about it so that they can take whatever process or whatever um, actions they need to take on their end. But yeah, this is what the form looks like. You'll want to fill it out as much as possible. There's also an option to attach supporting documentation if you have it, and then submit it. So, and then Wizards has a whole team that handles WPN investigations, and then they can proceed with the report according to their internal policies and procedures. So I will put that link in chat for you all. But yeah, just remember that those things are things that you can do. You are entitled to a safe and harassment-free environment whenever you are. Not entitled, you're entitled to expect those things. And judges can help you with that if that is not the case. I'm going to give Brad his seat. Thanks.
All right, and we're back. All right, everybody say thank you, Steph.
Thank you, Steph.
Thanks, Steph. All right, so we are nearing the end of this presentation, and I hope that um, the things that we have talked about today have given you confidence that if you want to play competitive Magic, you can do it and you can have fun doing it. So, we wanted to take some time to highlight some upcoming events where, if this is something you would like to try, these are opportunities for you to try that thing. So coming up, first, what we're going to talk about is Spotlight the Avatar. This is happening in Atlanta, Georgia, from January 9th to 11th of next year. Um, the main event format for this is standard constructed with a prize pool of $50,000. In addition, top 8 players in each main event will also receive invitations to Pro Tour Secrets of Strixhaven, which will be held at MagicCon Las Vegas from May 1st to 3rd on 2026. So if you are itching to try some competitive standard, get yourself to Atlanta, Georgia for that event. Now, if you're not yet feeling quite confident enough that you want to branch out, but you are interested in participating still, Star City Games is the event organizer that is hosting this event, and they will be streaming live coverage from the event, both on their Twitch channel and on YouTube. So you can look at for Star City Games on Twitch and SCG coverage on YouTube. If you want to watch the action live from the comfort of your home or wherever you happen to be that weekend, if you still want to get a feel for what that looks like, watching coverage is super fun. And you can learn a lot about playing the game by doing so. So
Coverage took a little
definitely,
bit of a hiatus for a little while, friends, and it's back. And so please watch it. Please watch it and support it. Competitive Magic coverage is so fun. And and it's one of the things honestly that gets me fired up about playing is watching other people do it. And so like I highly recommend checking it out. Star City does a great job of their coverage for sure.
yeah. All right. Then next, the one that we are excited about here in the Steel City
Ha 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 ha.
is Spotlight Eclipse. This is going to be in Toronto, Ontario, in Canada, February 6th to 8th,
That's my
2026.
that's my birthday.
Yeah. Big party.
Yes.
So, the reason why we're excited about this is the main event is Lorwyn Eclipsed Limited. So you're going to have Swiss rounds of sealed and top 8 or a single elimination drafts. It's going to be a blast. Once again, the prize pool $50,000. In addition, same as with the standard event. Top 8 players will in each main event will also receive invitations to Pro Tour Secrets of Strixhaven at MagicCon Las Vegas. Similarly, so Face to Face Games is the tournament organizer for this event. They will also be streaming coverage. You can look for Face to Face Games Canada on YouTube and Face to Face Games on Twitch if you want to watch the action live. And in case you needed another reason to come out to this event, I will be playing in the main event of this one. So if you want to come jam some sealed with me, that might be a good opportunity to do so.
And I'm going to be hanging out with creators at that event, but we will both be there, and we will both be there, and we will be having so much fun. So
Yes.
come and hang out with us for sure if you're able to. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump across
Hmm.
the border from Buffalo and across the border from Detroit, y'all. I promise, it's going to be a lot of fun. Check it out.
And this is the first event in a long time that will feed limited players into the Pro Tour.
Uh huh.
Um, so we would love nothing more for to get you excited to come to this event, to come and play in limited. I think limited is a great introduction to competitive Magic because you don't need to buy your deck ahead of time or worry about a meta. You have plenty of opportunities to practice it with your friends or on Arena. So please come play Limited with me. I would love to see you in Toronto.
Yeah, it's going to be a great event, and it's right now it is poised to be the biggest limited event that Canada has ever had. It is very close to being the biggest limited event that we have ever seen. And so it's on the track to get there. So we're very excited about it, especially since the event doesn't happen until February. We have another whole month of registrations, and that's just with pre-registrations that we're
Yep.
looking at. So it's going to be huge, and it's going to be so great. And Face to Face is a great organizer, highly recommend. And also they're going to be streaming coverage as well. They have their coverage is it's going to be on Twitch and on YouTube as well. I think, right?
Yes. Face to Face Games Canada on YouTube, Face to Face Games on Twitch.
Perfect. All right, yeah, check them out.
Check them out.